Hello, Forrest here, and I've got a problem. We're back, baby. Episode 2. We did it. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening to the first one, if you did. And thanks for subscribing and supporting the podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I don't even care if you listen. I want you to listen, but just click the follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio, or go to my YouTube page. You can subscribe to my YouTube page and you can see my face. You can see the glare in my glasses that I still haven't quite figured out yet. It's pretty good. You can see my eyes here. You can see my dead eyes. It's pretty good. Pretty good looking. Great radio, Arnie. I have a phone number if you want to call in. It's 305-563-7264. That's America. So you got to put a +1. 305-563-7264. 305 Joe Rang. Joe Rang. That's what I got. If you got a question, a comment, you got something real personal you want to ask me, you're anonymous on there. I don't have your names unless you give them to me. So I would never put that out there. So anything you want to talk about. If you want to come see me live, forrestshaw.net, check out my live dates. I think when this airs, I will be in Chicago this week. So if anybody wants to come out to the Chicago Comedy Bar, I'll be there Friday only. 2 shows. And that place fills up quick. So get your tickets. It's going to be cold. There's nothing to do in Chicago. You can't even go see the Bean in this weather. Come see me live. And if you're feeling crappy, don't forget the crisis hotline in the United States, dial 988, and somebody will help you on there. If you're in another country, go to the Wikipedia page, list of blank crisis lines. Can't say the word. I'm going to start saying the word. I don't know. But there's all sorts of phone numbers in there. And just talk to anybody. Doesn't matter. Talk to a friend or a spouse or somebody. Let them know how you're feeling. You're not feeling well. You're feeling sad. You're feeling down. You're dealing with whatever you're dealing with. Doesn't have to be addiction. Let somebody know, because they're going to help you, unless they're a real piece of shit. But that's how you weed them out of your life. Can you imagine if you're like, I need some help. I'm feeling very depressed. I might harm myself. And someone's like, yeah. Is there any way I can call you back in an hour? And you're like, yeah. Easy to cut that person out of your life. And if you want to help any of the costs, there's not a lot of costs. I just want to put that out there. But there are costs. If you feel like donating to help this podcast, go to forrestshaw.net, go to the podcast page, and you'll see a little button on there. Again, I don't need any of your money. If you don't ever want to donate a single dollar, but you like listening to this podcast, keep on doing what you're doing. Our guest today is JF Harris. He's a comedian and writer. He's a good friend of mine, and I've known him a long time, probably since most of the time I've been in LA. And I'm happy to have him on, so let's meet JF. Hey, I'm here with JF Harris. He's a comedian, a writer, and a coffee/records enthusiast.
Very true.
I'm not done with your intro. Hold on. I wrote this.
Okay. My apologies.
He was featured on Bill Burr's Comedy Central show, The Ringers. He was also on The Late Late Show, and he has toured with The Impractical Jokers. His comedy special, People Make Mistakes, is available through All Things Comedy and 800-Pound Gorilla. And you can find him on Instagram at the JF Harris and YouTube at JF Harris Comedy. And go to his website, jfharris.com, for dates, etc. There you go. Now you can talk.
Oh, great. They can also find it on Amazon Prime if you're sitting on your couch and you don't have YouTube on your smart TV.
The special?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Thanks.
JF is really funny. And you should follow him and give him money. There you go. That's the whole podcast. That's all I do.
All right. See you guys later. Peace out.
This is the second podcast I've done, so I still don't know what I'm doing.
In your life?
No, I've done a lot more than 2, but this is the second one. I've Got a Problem podcast. And
Is it weird not having co-hosts?
well, yeah. So I do a little bit of intro, like when without you, and I do a little outro thing. And so far it hasn't been weird, but I've only done one, and it was a lot of explaining, like this is what the podcast is going to be, and this is so that was easy to do, but still a little weird because you want to make it funny, and so
Yeah, because your other two, you got Dave and you got Jim and you got everybody else in the studio.
Yeah, the gym one I was less funny and more driving it, and then the one with David just made fun of him. So yeah, no, I just have to make fun of myself.
Yeah, which is pretty easy to do.
Yeah, that's my act. You haven't seen me.
Just here to mine bits for the act.
Yeah. So the name of the podcast is called "I've Got a Problem." When I was writing out some questions, I just wrote a question: "What's your problem?" Which I think is a fun way to start it. But also, I just what's your problem?
I got a couple of them. I mean, in terms of addiction, I'm a sober alcoholic for about 12 years now. I'm also severely dyslexic. I have nerve damage in my hands. That causes my hands to shake. I have a case of cerebral palsy, all the fun stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring all that. I didn't think you were going to. I was just addictions today. We're gonna, that's a whole different podcast. But yeah, alcoholic. Yeah. Do you this is a question I have for you. Do you like, well, okay, first of all, I never knew you when you were drinking. I've only known sober.
Oh yeah, we've been friends since I moved out here. I think we met in 2000. I think you said 15. It was either 15 or 16 we made friends.
2014, I did Conan, and I met you right after that.
It was around then.
It might have been beginning of 2015, yeah.
Yeah, I know you had done it, and I walked up to you at the Improv, and you've told me this in retrospect that you thought I was hitting on you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a good-looking guy, so, you know, you were coming on strong. So.
I was complimenting the fit.
Yeah.
I am a fashion dude.
I thought you were gay. I don't know.
That's what I think you thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you thought I was trying to get some. You thought I was into bears.
It's I'm flattered, but so I met you then. You're sober for how long then?
At that point, I think I was sober maybe like I got sober in 2012, so December 2012. So I was probably like 2 or 3 years sober at that point.
What were you like when you were drinking? Like, because I didn't even know you then. Like,
I mean, I wasn't like a total car. Well, granted, I lived in New York City and couldn't afford a car, but I wasn't like a wild drunk. I was like once I started, I couldn't stop kind of guy, and I didn't need to have a drink every day, but I, would. And then like a lot of my friends when I got sober said like, I didn't even know because I would like drink with my friends, and then after everyone else would call it, I would like go to a bar in New York City and then just like hang out all night.
Yeah, and so
and keep drinking that kind of stuff.
Yeah, New York City is really conducive to alcoholics, I feel like.
Yeah, it's like the playground. The only city I think that might be better is Chicago or London.
I think anywhere with I love public transportation. I think we should have more of it, but I think that encourages alcoholism.
It's funny. I have a friend who's a lawyer in Seattle, and he used to be a DUI lawyer. And I think he still is, but he said his business has dropped dramatically since the invention of Uber and Lyft.
Wow. Which is good.
Which is great.
Yeah. I mean, for his business, it's bad, but
for him personally, not the best, but for the world as a whole, way better.
Yeah. And it's interesting because cabs existed before Uber, but they're expensive. They're really hard to get.
You'd have to know a number, or you'd have to have the bar call you one. Like,
and then assume they were coming.
Yeah.
Like,
and you had to have cash on you.
Yeah. Kids that are watching this, I was like you just would call a cab and they'd be like, yeah, it'll be there in like 30 minutes. And you just wait. And then sometimes it wouldn't come and you'd have to call again and they wouldn't be apologetic.
No, they'd just be like, yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. So a lot more people drove drunk. Now you can follow them, you watch them. It's cheap. They get there in a couple minutes.
Yeah. So. And then when the cab driver showed up, and especially late night cab drivers, it was always the sketchiest of person.
Yeah. Probably drunk. Not probably, but I shouldn't say probably, but could be.
Could be. Definitely could be. Yeah. And then, you always felt like you were kind of taking your life in your hands when you got in like a small, like, especially if you were on the road as a comic and you got in like some small town cab service
Yeah.
where you're like, this could get real weird.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
New York City, yellow cabs everywhere. But like if you're on where I grew up in Staten Island, if you're like calling a cab on Staten Island, it's like Island Cab or this, there were just like, it was like the Wild West.
Same as Miami too, because Miami is not a cab city. The only place where cabs really make sense is South Beach, because you would get around from club to club real quick or whatever. But growing up, it was like anywhere else, it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a cab. It's gonna be $240 to
Yeah, that's
to go to my work or something. Like, it was ridiculous. But in South Beach, it was like where all the cabs are concentrated. There used to be a guy, when I used to be club kid and go on stuff, I just popped in my head. There was a guy, and when you called a cab or you hailed a cab on South Beach, you're always hoping to get this guy, and he would play guitar while he drove with his knees. Like, we'd take the steering wheel, like drive it with his knees, because South Beach is all surface streets. You're not going faster than 25 miles an hour. I'm not saying this is safe.
No,
but,
it's not.
And he would go like, more than words, like sing that.
Was he trying to get discovered or make better tips?
I think it was a tip thing, because no matter what, we were like, all right, we got to tip this guy. That was awesome, because we were either drunk or high. So, especially in your high mind, you're like, this is amazing. You look back the next day, you're like, not that cool, but whatever.
Yeah, when you're 19, you're like, this guy's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
He's 40, he's driving a cab with his knees, playing guitar, trying to pick up 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
When we were in Thailand during the honeymoon, when we were in Bangkok, we were in Chinatown, and we were there, and there was a guy driving down the street, and he had a flat screen in the front of his car window playing, I think it was like Toto or Journey, just on like repeat.
What?
And
you mean his windshield?
Yes. Like, it was blocking his view, and he was driving with his head like half out the window. And he was this like weird, like 90-year-old dude, or not 90, but like 80. He was an older dude. And you were just like, what's going on? And at one point we were in a tuk-tuk, and he was behind us at a light. And I was like, this does not feel safe right now.
Wait, he had to drive with his head out the window?
Yes. And he was like half looking through, like there was like this much of a slit for the screen. And he's just like half looking out half looking out the window. At one point he like stopped, got out, and like pointed to it, because I was like eating at a food stand nearby. And he's like, pretty cool, right? And I was like, this is crazy.
It would be really hard for you to get a traffic ticket in Bangkok, I think, because the way just that the tuk-tuks drive, they would be getting tickets constantly.
Yeah, the tuk-tuks just are like, and I'm going to make a left now.
At 45.
At 45 on the right lane after the light has changed.
Yeah. When I was in Singapore, Singapore is the opposite of Bangkok in the fact that there's lots of rules that are followed, and you can get in trouble for things. Famously, they say you can not allowed, if you chew gum, you spit it out, whatever, you could be caned or whatever. But I don't know if they would. I think that's what they said. But anyways, there's that famous hotel. It's at the end of Crazy Rich Asians. Looks like there's a boat floating on top of. I was there with the whole Jim Jeffries show crew. We were doing field pieces there, and it was the wrap party, because we had shot all these pieces throughout Asia for about 3 weeks, and they had a wrap party, and I went downstairs with a couple people from the show, and I think the guy that was touring Jim. We're also doing shows, and they had these rave-taxis. Like, all these vans had their doors wide open, and there was lasers just shooting to the whole thing, and like smoke machine coming out, and they'd be like, would you it was called like Party Taxi or something, and you get in, and let's say it was $30 to get to your hotel, this guy was going to charge you $120, right? But
on the way, you could have a real party.
First,
that's like drunk people bait. That's like only for drunk tourists.
Well, we were drunk, and I was not paying for it, and we went it. And first of all, they pour you shots if you want that. If you're not drinking, that's fine. You don't have to do that. And then the music's super loud. It closes the door. There's lasers going on, and then at a certain point, like when the
air horn hits.
Yeah, the air horn, or what do you call it? The apex of the song. Like, the whole cab fills to where you can't see out of any of the windows. I couldn't even see the people next to me, so I don't know how he was driving. and it's just this smoke cab with lasers in a city that is really wouldn't I don't think would be tolerant of anything like that at all. So I don't know how
Yeah,
they get
that
away with
sounds
it.
wild. That
Yeah,
sounds like Bangkok. That does not
yeah,
sound like Singapore.
yeah. But
It's funny. I remember I've seen some of that in like you'd see that in like a New Orleans in like a pedicab or in London. There's a lot of that, like the person on the bike who drives you around
yeah, yeah,
kind of stuff that has like all the lights and
yeah,
the
sure,
pretty stuff.
but not
Um,
enclosed with a smoke machine and or whatever you call those
yeah,
things, dry
yeah.
ice machine.
Thailand has the opposite. They pick you up from the airport in the most luxurious bus that's nicer than any apartment that I had in
Yeah,
my 20s.
yeah.
So they like pick you up and it's like heated seats and vans and special drinks and drop down
Lighting and all
screens.
decorated nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then you just pass all these billboards telling you not to get a Buddha tattoo. Don't get it. Don't do it.
Oh, really?
That there's a bunch of billboards. They think it's disrespectful. You're not supposed to.
Oh, that's
Ah,
funny. I didn't see that at all.
yeah. Well,
That's also a crazy thing to me. I luckily never did any of that in my drinking days. I never got like random tattoos, but I remember being like seeing people. I know I went with a kid once when I was in Germany when I was really young. I was like 19 years old. I went backpacking through Europe. And when I was there, which was really just like uh, an excellent experience, but really all I did was just bar hop from different Irish pub to different Irish pub in different countries because I wasn't cultured yet. So I didn't know like what to eat or how to speak a foreign language or how to like get around. So unless another backpacker like dragged me someplace that wasn't just an Irish pub, um, and this kid went and got a tattoo in Germany, which Germany, pretty like by the rules kind of place. So
yeah,
yeah, it was like a little while that he just like walked in and got something. But then you're in a place in Thailand and you see some people like tourists getting tattoos in these like beach towns, and it's like, what are you doing?
yeah,
This seems insane. Also, you're not supposed to get a tattoo and then go in the ocean. You're not supposed to swim for two
yeah.
weeks
Sand
after.
stuck in it. Yeah.
Yeah, what a but they don't.
Um.
They're there to party.
Do you miss drinking? Because I've talked to a lot of gamblers. That's my world. So
Yeah.
um not that I've talked to friends that obviously I'm having on this podcast and stuff, but that seems like to be sometimes not a running theme, but like obviously you think about it, but you don't have the urge to do it, kind of thing.
I don't.
Yeah,
Not only do I not think about it, I don't miss it at all.
yeah,
Literally 0%. I'm like very lucky. And I think a huge part of that is that I just accept that I had a problem, and I know that it's like a genetic predisposition that my body doesn't process it correctly.
yeah,
And so it's a physical allergy. And when that happens, all bets are off on what's going to happen. And like the small amount of wouldn't it be cool if I could drink a glass of wine in Paris versus I get to go to Paris because I'm sober. Like I lived in France 3 years in a row for like a month at a time and get to go travel the world doing stand up. I'm not
yeah,
going to give that up so I can fucking have a like Pabst and get shitty until 6 a.m. and then be hungover and not write jokes all day and do the thing I actually love. Like it's to me, it's like such a no-brain trade-off. Like I'm very well aware that like the temporary relief it used to give me for being around other people in my 20s and teen years of like not being able to deal with the discomfort, and then once I start not being able to stop, like it was like I got to be part of fun worlds in my 20s and subculture of dive bars and like in Chicago and like New York and in the music scene and in the comedy scene. And it was fun in my early 20s, but I'm a fucking adult. I don't have time for that bullshit.
yeah. Well, yeah. It's weird because I've abused alcohol before and I've drank to excess and stuff like that, but I've never had a addiction issue with. I mean, I know what that feels like. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
I'm sure something like gambling is way different because, there's a Super Bowl every year and there's like things like that you have to kind of deal with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was at a Super Bowl party this past year and everybody was gambling there.
Yeah.
They had like a whiteboard and they were doing like this. I mean, but what's funny is so everybody there was gambling and they were like, this this is points at the end of each quarter. They have like a square. You fill in these squares, and
Yeah, I know I know how boxes work.
and all
I'm
the
a
prop bets. Who's going to catch a touchdown? Who's not? But the funny thing is I was like, it didn't bother me because I knew that going into it. That was told that, and so I was prepared for that. But also, when I found out how much they were gambling, I was like, this is lame. Like it wasn't. It was like,
no
they
one's
were like,
lose their house over this.
They were like, and the winner gets $12. I was like, $12. It's like, this sucks. That's literally like it was almost like not even like that I wanted to be doing or not wanted to be doing. I was like, you guys know what the fuck you're doing. Like, yeah. I mean, I think it's the same thing with any addiction. You dive back into it. You're like, I'm not gonna have a sip of a beer at dinner and then leave.
Which is also why most addicts, when they dive back into it, die. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially people who like are ex-junkies, like heroin people, like somebody like Philip Seymour Hoffman or somebody like that. Like, they come back and they think they can play at the same level they were playing at.
Yeah.
You know, but most people don't realize they're not Michael Jordan coming back from baseball, and fentanyl's the thing now, you know? Yeah. So a lot of people get got when they try to come back, and my life's too good to give up.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not easy, but you know, it's interesting.
Do you think there would be less sober people without coffee? It seems to be like not for like, I feel like coffee is like, it's
coffee.
Like,
I'm you know me, I'm a big coffee drinker, and part of how I got into it was in the beginning, like third wave coffee. And for those people who don't know, who are listening to this podcast, there's 3 waves of coffee in America. First wave, which was like truck stop coffee, like diner coffee, the kind of like just pour it in a bag or a pot and make it. Second wave was like 90s coffee shop culture, like the big cappuccinos and like the Friends coffee shop, like that kind of thing. And third wave coffee was like the more like Australian, like specialty coffee, like notes of this, single origin beans, where I treated it more like a wine or a beer. And I was a big like beer guy, where I drank like beers from around the world from like the time I was like a little kid. Like I made my own wine, things like that.
Made your own wine?
Yeah, with my family, my like dad, my uncle.
Did you use like store-bought grapes or something, or did you get like
grapes? We get grapes from like Tuscany, and then we'd like crush them, ferment them, and then they get stored in a warehouse in New Jersey. And then and then like we like would have wine for the year, and it wasn't that expensive. So like for a boozer like me, for like $1,000, you would get a lot of wine. And then I would do this thing where I would bring 2 bottles of wine to a party in my 20s, like a housewarming or something like that. And I would give the host a bottle of wine, and then I would just drink one myself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you said Australia. It's funny that I mean, I have a relationship in my life with Australia that I never thought I would have growing up, because I linked up with Jim Jeffries and ended up touring there and doing a podcast with him, and I could do my own shows. And literally the little 1-minute teaser clip that I put up for this podcast was like already like charting in Australia, which is cool. I think that's cool.
That's awesome.
But they hate our coffee. Like we have shit. Like why is Australia's like, why do you mention them? Why are they like this?
Literally on
snobs?
Wednesday, I'm going to Little Ripper, which is an Australian coffee shop here in LA. Because it's great. And there are great American coffee chains and coffee shops.
They hate them. Well, Australians come here. They shit on them. Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably not going to the right ones, because they're, but also.
I meant like, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I meant like our general coffee.
Yeah. All that shit's trash. Yeah. I agree. And it's like, most of the coffee that you can get in this country is just fast food coffee.
Yeah. I'm not a big coffee guy. So
every city has like a cool hipster coffee shop. So when I was first getting sober on tour, because I've been a touring comic since I was like fucking 26 years old or whatever, it was cool to like in almost every cool hip city you would go to, like you're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and you go to Madcap Coffee, and there's like a person with a kettle making a beaker of coffee for you, and you drink it, and it like has all this crazy taste and flavor thing going on. And you're just like, oh, cool. This is something that I can get into that has a similar feel and you can like make friends with the people making the coffee because they're similar to you, and like, that kind of stuff.
Are you addicted to coffee, you think?
No, there was a period where I was drinking decaf for a
Yeah.
while, just because of the fact that like I already am a pretty overstimulated person. So I switched to decaf for a little bit. And then like every time I would go to Europe, I'd be like, oh, I'm jet lagged. I'm going to drink regular coffee. And then I'd start drinking regular coffee again for a while. And then you're doing like 2 or 3 a night, a day, 3 or 4 coffees a day, and you're out of your mind. And then eventually, you just slowly work your way back to it.
Yeah, when I was in Florida, for like a month and a half last year doing a tour. And I don't know, I grew up in Miami. I don't know why I forgot so many things. I forgot not to visit there in hurricane season, which I did. Why would I do that? 2 hurricanes hit.
You shot a special in hurricane season.
I know. Well, that was when I was living there. So and then it was like 1 a.m. at one point, or like midnight. And we went to this diner place, and I had Cuban coffee, which is like
it's a real kick.
That is, I would like the FDA to look into whether that is an actual drug or not. I think that would be classified as something close to like a methamphetamine or something. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, but I'm not a big coffee drinker either. But even because I asked you if you're addicted to coffee, are there any, do you have any quote unquote healthy addictions, or do you think any addictions can be classified as healthy?
I think anything done too much can be destructive, but I think that routine is a good thing for people, especially people who are like alcoholics or drug addicts, or people who are getting sober, gambling addicts, people who are neurodivergent, to just have a routine. Yeah. That like idea of you're only as strong as your systems kind of thing. Yeah. Like just having like, this is where I go on this day. This is what I do on this day. Like I just got back from my honeymoon, and and then like immediately jumped into like my touring date on the road. And then I came back and then had some meetings, and now I have to like get into like admin and work stuff. And it like takes me a couple of days to kind of get that brain going, our creative brain going. So like having a regular routine as a creative person makes it easier to like create. And I think it's the same thing for any sober person or addict or person with addiction issues. Like it's a lot easier to not get in trouble when you have places to be and things to do. So like, for me, if I can like do an hour of cardio in the morning, I journal every day, I write a gratitude list every day.
Yeah. That's something I talked about with Al Jackson last episode, was filling your time. We talked about that a lot, like as an addict, but
yeah, it's super important because we're like, hyper people with hyper brains.
Yeah. But I think, what if you were addicted to snickerdoodles?
I mean, I
hate when people say shit like that. There's like, I'm addicted to. Are you?
I mean, I know people who have food addiction for real.
Diet Coke. There's some people that like.
My friend Shane is a sober dude, and he drinks like. I remember he opened for me for my special, and the 3 or 4 days we were in Florida, he probably drank like 48 Diet Mountain Dews.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is gonna kill you.
Yeah. It's funny though, because it's like I would say that when so the first time that I really stopped gambling was 2004, that I really made an effort to. And I had a long stretch before I because I've been open about that. I've gone back out and gone sober again, or clean is what I usually call it. But when I first stopped gambling for real, comedy was like my addiction, I would say. I kind of dove into that, and I was like, and it was pretty clear, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to drive 4 hours each way on a work night to, and 2 hours each way on a work night to do a free show in Punta Gorda. It's like, what do you know? But Dude, it's also necessary to be a comedian. So it's like,
Yeah, similar. Right after I got sober is pretty much when I started doing the road. Yeah. And pretty soon after I got sober is when I became a full-time comic. And those are direct correlations. Yeah. Like I had a real regimented schedule. I was like walking dogs at the time, running like a little dog walking company. And I had two 2-hour breaks in my day every day. And during those 2-hour breaks between clients, I wrote for 1 full hour. And then the other hour, I just did admin, like sending emails to comedy clubs to try to book dates on the road. And that was like my whole day was just like walk dogs, write jokes, walk dogs, try to get booked.
I mean, you're a dog walker. You
Yeah.
want to watch
Good
Arnie when
job,
I'm out of
especially if
town?
you're like a young comic in New York City. Like you make like 20, well, depends on if you work for a company or not, or do your own thing. I used to do I did a mix of like working for companies and doing my own. And I would make like you can make like $20 to $40 an hour doing it.
No, I just threw in a thing in there about, do you want to watch Arnie when I'm out of town? That was my whole
Oh, did you?
selfishing.
That's funny. I'm going to be around more, but
Sounds like a no. Okay.
we don't really have a dog house.
It's the best. He doesn't chew anything. He doesn't shed. No, I got people. Don't worry about it. There's a long line of people that want to get growled at by my dog. So it takes some time getting used to it. Oh, that's the cops. All right. I thought the garbage truck was coming back.
No. I think it's the fire trucks going by right now.
Remember I was going to ask you. Do you think alcohol is stupid?
Do I think it's stupid? Kind
Yeah.
of. Yeah.
Like, do you think we should go back to like prohibition or
I
let
don't
humans
think we
make
should
their
go
own
back.
choices?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think we should go back to prohibition. I think that's kind of silly. I think people should be in charge of their own free will, but also at the same time, you are just poisoning yourself. That's what it is.
It is weird that it is poison.
It's literally poison. Like if you drink too much of it, you will die.
Like your blood is actually very slightly, but whatever, just 0.08 is turning into alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. At a certain point, your body will just be like, okay, we got to shut down now. And your brain too. Your brain, a blackout's your brain just going, nope, no more of this.
Because I don't want to be like a teetotaler or whatever you want. Like with gambling and stuff too. Like I see that there are people that. Here's my thing. I see people that drink and they're not drinking next, or maybe they even have a night where they, go on a little bender or whatever, and then they're fine that, and they're having fun. I still think they have fun overall, except for maybe their hangover or whatever. But so I get that. Sometimes I get really like dark with the gambling thing where I'm like, who the fuck, there can't be anyone having, like, I walk through a casino and I just start looking at everybody and it looks miserable. And if you took away all the sound, imagine you walk through a casino and you took away all of the bells and whistles of the slot machines, took all that sound away, and the music, everything, and you just walk through a casino, it would be a fucking depressing place. That the people, it's these adults at video games. There's like a giant pig that's getting fatter, and they're waiting for it to pop, and then that's real money that's involved in that. It's crazy. So sometimes I get in this thing where I'm like, oh, fuck this, burn all shit down the ground. And then I'm like, you know what? People should be able to make their own choices, whatever. Some people say they have fun. It doesn't seem like people have fun gambling to me, because people are always like, went to Vegas again, lost it, however much money, you got free drinks and food, and what, it's this whole thing, But
yeah, I've done some gambling in my life, but I like my money more than I like gambling. Like I
enjoy it.
I mean, I when I do it with a group of friends, like on a friend's bachelor party, we all play craps. One guy really knows how to play. He was good at it. So he's kind of like telling us what we should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And we all walked away with money. That's really fun. I lose $100 on blackjack. That's like, I would rather just spent the $100 to go see a show or on a nice meal. Like that's money I worked for. So it's like, if it's like a big group thing, sure. But I mean, I remember in my drinking days, a whole bunch of us went to New Orleans on a bachelor party, and I was so broke at the time that I didn't have my share of the money to kick in for the room. And we went to Harrah's one night and we stayed there all night. Like everybody left at one point. I just stayed gambling, playing blackjack until I won enough money. Like, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like fucking up other people's hands. And so the people at the table started telling me like, you're fucking up people's shit. And then this like nice older lady next to me started helping me, telling me what to do. And then I started winning money, and I won enough to cover my room. And at one point she went out, she lost all her money. So I gave her like $50 to get back in the game.
Yeah.
And I like got enough. And then like I gambled literally from like probably like 10 or 11 at night until like 6 a.m, went back, paid for my share of the room, and didn't even sleep in the room.
Yeah.
And like, then went to the airport super hungover. It was just a night. It was like a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, you pay for the room. That's nicer than most compulsive gamblers would do. They would. The end of that story is normally you would just gamble till it was all gone and be like, well, in my head, I was at 1 a.m. I was going to pay for the room in my brain.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
it was like 3 a.m. and it's all gone and stuff.
yeah. That's
That,
like,
and you're in that's a crazy thing about like, and that's not like, it's not an addiction for you, but it's like this time that you spend in these vices of shit. Like, you're in New Orleans. You should have been.
I should have been on Bourbon Street.
Eat some gumbo.
Like, yeah, exactly. I should have been at Coop's eating jambalaya, But instead,
by the way, I know that casino well. There's not a casino. I think the biggest amount of money I've ever won is at the casino.
Harris?
In New Orleans.
Yeah.
And
they have stand-ups there too sometimes.
Yeah, I would say it's the biggest amount of money. I don't like in some of the programs that I'm in and stuff like that, you're not supposed to talk about amounts of money. So I'm going to keep that as a consistent theme on this show. But that is the place where I won a lot of money, and within a month it was gone, I'd say. And I'm talking about a lot of fucking money. So
that sounds about right.
But yeah, it's sometimes I struggle with that because with alcohol and stuff like that, I have a lot of friends in the comedy community, obviously, that I'm having on this podcast, and maybe some of them won't be on the podcast too, but I always think about that because, you're around it so much in comedy clubs and things like that, and it's a part of your job now. I do perform in casinos, yes, but you don't have to be. There's not a 2-bet minimum at the places that I work at. There's not a like, hey, we're funnier if you're drinking, kind of like that old joke and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's funny. I know that alcohol is around, and even like, I would say the times we live in currently, it's a lot easier to be a sober person than say probably the 80s or 90s, because like, especially in Los Angeles, half of the comics are sober. Right.
And I think in Los Angeles, it's a benefit. Like, if you're not sober, if you're like, it's fucking like,
you might get a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
And then half of the comedians
too. Yeah. So,
and then half of the audience is probably sober.
Yeah.
Or like,
maybe that's why some of the crowds suck in West Hollywood. Sometimes you're like, are you guys all sober? No. Yeah. Interesting. Have you ever been to a comedy club and they named a drink after you? You ever been to those clubs?
No, that would be really funny.
No, I mean, like sometimes on the weekends, you never had that I forget which clubs, but there's clubs that I work.
Wisconsin used to do that.
Yeah.
Skyline. They used to name a drink after the headliner.
Yeah, either play on words in your name or like a joke that you do. They'd be like, like I don't even know what yours would be. It'd be like, it'd be like the J. You'd have the J and the F. The Jack and something F Harris.
Jack,
like, I'm sober.
Angelica Harris.
Yeah, something like that.
Frangelo. That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't drank for a long time, but I know you know that.
I know. I also used to be a bartender.
It's called a country. What is it instead of a White Russian? It's I don't know. That's the worst drink I think I've ever heard.
Just fucking whole milk and vodka.
Yeah. Here, I got a couple more questions for you, and then we can leave. So do you ever? When I'm at a casino, okay. Do you ever see like a comedian that is an addict? That's probably an alcoholic or something like that. Do you feel like an urge, or it doesn't even have to be a comedian, but I'm just saying where you're around them a lot. There's like an endless supply of comics. But let's just say you saw a person. I'm saying comedians, you might know them, and would you ever go up to them and offer advice or encourage like anything like that, or do you think that it's better for them to come to you? Yeah.
So being a sober comedian, I've had a lot of people be like, you want something to drink? And then I'm like, I'm sober, I don't drink. And they're like, oh. And then I clock the and then there's usually on the Friday show, then they'll be like, so what's that like? And I'm like, you want to go to a 12-step meeting and check it out? I'm available. Like,
is that the hint you get? What's that like? Is like,
yeah, what's that like? I've been thinking about that, or so I've taken. I couldn't tell you how many comedians I've taken to their first 12-step meetings. A lot in my day. And then there are some that like I see who I'm like, this is not going to end well, or I can see how this is fucking up a friend's career. And I could, they might be like, oh, I'm taking a break, and be like, well, if you ever want to talk about it or check out a meeting, I'm here. But then the truth is, it's like, it's not my job. People can only get sober when they're ready to get sober.
Yeah. Yeah. With
So
me,
it's like,
it's,
I think through being an example, and I think I'm very, I talk about in my act, not much anymore, but like I had a chunk on it, and most people in the community know I don't drink in LA and some in New York. So it's like, if anybody ever needed to get sober, everybody kind of knows they can reach out to me.
Yeah. I do a lot of stuff on stage in the last year or so. And so people come up to me after shows, and people have reached out to me via social media or emails, and it started talking, like ask me for advice or questions or something like that, which is interesting because, because with gambling, it's just like, because addiction's all addiction. I've had people that have problems with alcohol coming up to me after shows and like, that was awesome. I loved the part about addiction. I did not talk about alcohol at all. I talked about gambling, but still, it's still like, makes you feel seen, I guess, or whatever, if you're an addict or something. But it's been interesting. Like now people like reaching out to me and stuff and that's why I started this podcast too, was I was like, well, I'll do some like, maybe I'll see if I enjoy doing this, and give this, like, this is like another, I'm doing this like really for selfish reasons, this podcast. Cause I believe that this podcast will help me just another like thing in my life to help me not gamble, if I talk about it, and I talk about it with friends and even people that aren't friends, and I discuss it and I'm open and honest about it, I think that and it keeps it top of mind. So that's not tucked away in some like dark recess where I just forget about it. And the next thing you know, I'm like sitting at like a bar in Vegas and I just slip $10 in the fucking machine that's at the bar, and you're off. $10. Who am I kidding? I'm not gonna, but yeah. So I was just curious about that, because there's never a situation in a comedy club where like, hey, if you don't gamble. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah. So the drinking thing, it's more top of mind for comics.
Yeah. People will be like, what do you want to drink? And it's always like water. I always just tell whoever's my server for the weekend at a comedy club, be like, you're not really going to need to come in here. I'm like,
do you try to make it look like alcohol if you're like hanging out at
nah, I don't give a shit.
I don't.
I'm at an age like, like maybe when you're in your 20s and you quit drinking, it's a little like, I don't want people to know. I don't want people to judge me. But you get into your 40s and you're just like, I don't give a fuck what any of these people think about me.
I don't. Okay. Yeah, it's weird. So I don't think I would care now. But when I was younger and I was in a social situation where you should be drinking, I would want it to look like I was drinking.
I mean, that's one thing I will say. I love the company Liquid Death.
Yeah.
Because of the fact they make those giant water cans that look like Modelo.
Yeah.
Tall boys.
Looks like beer. Yeah.
Looks like beer, which I think is very helpful to like newly sober people who are in like a music scene or a comedy scene who are out and about. If a club has that, they can kind of hold it. Feels familiar. It's kind of like a little life preserver. They can just.
But I'm telling you, this is what I would do. So I, again, alcohol hasn't been a problem for me at all, but I don't drink a lot in social situations. Sometimes I'll pick a night and I'm like, yeah, I'm drinking tonight, whatever. But I would still like be like, okay, if I'm gonna get like a Coke, I was like, give it to me in the little the
small
highball,
glass,
whatever, and skinny little tiny straws. Because if you have the big fat straws, I know you're not drinking alcohol in that, unless that's some sort of fucking margaritas. But so I had little straws and put a lime on there.
Yeah.
And I would like walk around, like if it was clear, I'd put a little up, and I'd walk around, and then people would be like, oh, he's drinking. Like, I don't know why I would do that in my head. Like, I thought that was a better way to network. Fucking idiot.
Yeah, for people to think you were a little loose while they were talking.
I guess. I don't know.
Or
it's
like
a weird
not
thing
judging them, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I was trying to be like, yeah, because you know what I think it was is my conversation would go differently. If I was just drinking a Coca-Cola, they're like, oh, what are you drinking? I'm like, Coca-Cola. Oh, what are you, sober? No. I'm just drinking a Coke.
Just taking a night off.
It seems more embarrassing. Just drink Coca-Cola. You're at this function. Fucking that. All right. Why do you think there's so many comedians that are addicts? I mean, it's an easy question. I think it's a softball.
I think one, addiction's genetic.
Yeah.
And so I think it like wires our brain in a certain way. I think most comedians also have like some form of neurodivergence. Like I'm dyslexic. A lot of people, I have ADHD, and I feel like a lot of the people who have ADHD or dyslexia tend to tip towards alcoholism. And then also if you have like dysfunctional family, it runs in, there's pretty much everything that could make a comedian can make an alcoholic.
Yeah. Drug addict or whatever,
and it's also an environment where that kind of thing is socially acceptable. To like have a drink at work, like there aren't many jobs where you can drink at work besides stand-up comedian and bartender. And I've been both of those things. Like if you
air traffic controller.
Lately it seems like they have been putting back, especially Canadian air traffic controller.
Whoa!
Upside down Delta flight.
That's right. That was Ken.
Yeah. It just seems like it's like, and I think my generation, most millennials grew up in a time where like the idolizing like mental illness and alcoholism attached to the arts was still like cool and socially acceptable, and the idea of being rock and roll and punk rock, which to me is just like really like silly. Now I still like the idea of being punk rock, but to me like being like sober and like giving a fuck and being a good person and still fighting the ideas of like small-mindedness and fascism feels more punk rock than getting drunk over it. Donald Trump's in office, you know what I mean?
Well, you can do both as long as you're okay. If you're okay with alcohol, but yeah. I saw Foo Fighters. I was part of this festival in Montana a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and he I don't know if you can hear that. There's something going on.
No.
He smoked a cigarette and then like did a shot. And I thought about how rare that is. I don't see that. Like you don't see that anymore. Like with the rock bands. I was like, wow. I was like,
Who? Dave Grohl?
Dave Grohl. Yeah. I think.
There's also like nothing wrong with like rock and roll for the sake rock and roll.
No, it was shocking because you don't see it. Like everyone's so probably. I was like, he drinks. Yeah, I forgot.
They're also on like a 300-day tour where they have to like take good care of themselves, and they're all in their like late 50s now.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Also, I'm sure that boozing is part of the reason he's got that random kid.
Sure. Yeah.
And also like his drum, people deal with grief in different ways, but also like the drummer of the band died of like addiction problem.
Yeah, true that. What was I gonna say? Something that I fucking forgot.
It's all right. It'll come back. Was it in relation to the Foo Fighters?
Oh, drugs. Did you have a problem with drugs?
Not really. I had
But you wouldn't you don't smoke pot or anything like that?
Nah, I'm sober.
Yeah.
I had a cousin in my family when I was pretty young who had a coke problem, and I saw that when I was young.
Yeah.
And I knew if I went down that alley, I was never coming back.
Yeah.
I was pretty aware of that from the time I was a little kid. Like I had alcoholism in my family and I had drug addiction in my family, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna skip that one.
Yeah.
And like also, I grew up in the scared straight generation, so like the idea of like overdosing, like they got that in my head and I really believed it. I believed if I did blow once, it was gonna like just fucking kill me.
Good. Yeah. By the way, so if you smoke pot, then you're not sober, right? Some people say they're sober, but they smoke pot. It's like pescatarian.
The California sober people.
Yeah.
I mean, I am a person who believes whatever works for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't judge anybody.
What makes your life better?
And like, what's fucking up your life? And like, can you have an honest conversation with yourself? I think if you smoke weed, you're not sober. But I think there are people who are alcohol free and things like that. And
Yeah.
There are people who don't have problems with one and do have problems with the other. Um, but then I also think there are people who are like, someone like Anthony Bourdain who kicked heroin but kept drinking and had a real like depression problem, and when he was drunk made a terrible decision, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that there are people who have more than one addiction or addiction problems, and I think, doing one sometimes can lead you back to the other.
Yeah. Yeah. It is funny that weed was out. Like weed is like, because I always throw a stat like weed's never, you can't overdose on weed. Like that's all this I'm always throw out there. People that love weed.
Yeah, but you
Um,
can miss a week of your own.
yeah, no, there's plenty of. I mean, the list is endless
Yeah,
of
I'm
shit that
sure
you
there's
can
been
do.
plenty of people
Yeah,
are like, you can't overdose on weed. I'm sure there's been plenty of car accidents of stoned people who died.
yeah,
You know
you
what I mean? Like,
can.
but if
Yeah,
you are a person who like wants to sit home, get baked, and fucking watch a movie, God bless, live your
yeah.
life.
You,
Like that's
you you might not. What is it? I just thought you might not overdose on weed, but you might overshoot the exit that you have to get off on for sure, or miss the birth of your child. Oh shit,
yeah,
was that today? Um, yeah, like Mr. Magoo is what I say.
yeah,
Like people I know that have like smoked weed and they're like in their 60s or 70s. That's me and my mom used to call him Mr. Magoo all the time. They're just like, oh, hey, I was at a wedding um years ago. I'm not gonna say anybody's names, but the father of the bride has known me since I was born, literally since I was born. And this is probably 10 years ago now. So for 40 plus years, whatever, he knew me. And I had seen him many times since then. He's come out to comedy shows and stuff like that. And me and my mom and I show up and we're at the venue and it's getting ready to start. But me and mom were hanging by this bar before, before we got into the room where the wedding was going to take place. And he comes walking by and I go, hey, I flag him down. And he just comes over to me. His guy smoked pot his whole life. And he just goes to me, he goes, remind me. Can I go, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you don't know who I am? Like, you know me by, like, you literally saw me do comedy like 3 months ago.
that's wild.
And I was like, that's some weed right there. So it is funny too that that's the only drug that no one's like, hey, look, I'm sober except I do cocaine. It is crazy if you switch out the drug. Like, I don't do anything except crack. That's what
Yeah, you
I
just
don't
smoke a
drink.
little crack,
Yeah,
sober, and
yeah,
just smoke crack once a week.
yeah. It's fine. But I think
It helps me do my errands.
I think to your point is fine. If you smoke weed and that's what's keeping you from drinking, and drinking was what made you into like a devil, like, or destroyed your life, and that's helping you not do that, then good. Then do
Yeah,
that. But there is no one that's ever been like, look, I stopped drinking to heroin.
look,
Things have never been better.
yeah, exactly. And I will say this: I couldn't do that. I know
Yeah,
I'm the
no.
kind of person that if I was smoking weed, I'd be too much, too often, not getting shit done, missing everything in my life. Like the greatest part about being a sober person is that I am very present for my life. Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
aware of everything and I'm available and there for everything. I just got married. And
Yeah.
at my first wedding,
Congratulations.
that lets you know how that I was not sober,
Yes.
and I wasn't sober for most of it. You know what I mean? And so I, I like my life. I'm only getting one of these. I want to be aware of it. I want to be there for it.
Yep. Don't waste the time. So yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Anything you want to say before we leave?
If anybody is thinking about getting sober or is sober curious, or thinks they might have a problem but don't feel comfortable talking to anybody about it, feel free to slide into my DMs. I'm happy to talk more about it. I also, yeah, I highly recommend 12-step programs. One saved my life. And if you're interested, and no matter where you are in the world, they are there. I've literally been to 12-step meetings in everywhere from Iceland to Tokyo. They are everywhere. There are people with addiction problems all around you who understand you, who've done things that you've done that you're really ashamed of. And then you'll tell them about it and they'll be like, oh, I've done that way worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And like, also has nothing to do with your moral character or standing. It's a genetic predisposition. And in the same way, I don't think I'm a piece of shit for being dyslexic. I don't think I'm a piece of shit for not being able to drink.
There you go. Awesome. Well said. Well, JF Harris, again, if you want to find him, you go to jfharris.com, on Instagram at the JF Harris, YouTube at JF Harris Comedy, and anywhere else.
Pretty much Instagram is the best place, and YouTube. And then I have a podcast called The Mood Board. That is a arts, design, and culture podcast. It's comedy.
Never been asked, but cool.
It's new. You know what? You would actually be great. You can come on and talk about like furniture for days.
I don't want to like force you onto your podcast.
No. This is good. This makes sense. You know a shit ton about furniture and art. You'd actually be a perfect guest for the show.
I know a little bit. Yeah, I know enough to get by.
Yeah.
And
we've done episodes on everything from like SNL to Bauhaus art movement. So it's a pretty fun and broad kind of swing it.
Them down.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for being here, JF Harris. Love you.
Love you too, buddy. I'll see you soon.
That's it. Episode 2. Thanks for being here. I just want to say, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I do jokes about gambling being the worst addiction, and only a couple times that people come up to me and be like, actually, it's the worst addiction is blah blah blah, or I was, making them feel smaller about their addiction or something. I'm not trying to do that. I think the worst addiction is whatever affects you negatively. But also they're jokes, just so you know. But and it could be more than one addiction. Maybe you have 2 addictions that affect you negatively. But gambling, though, I will say this: I think it's the only addiction that, in your brain at least, you can trick yourself into thinking that you can better your life through it. Because let's say you won a huge jackpot. Let's say you won the lottery, Powerball, and you won millions of dollars, or even if you won a couple $100,000 at a casino, in your brain, you are thinking like, you know what, at least I can get some money to pay off bills, buy gifts for somebody I love, or if I won the lottery, I can buy cars for all my friends. I mean, nobody that's an alcoholic has that illusion. Nobody's like, all I need is one more shot and I can finally buy that house for my mom, or a heroin addict or something. So I think that that does, at least for me with gambling, makes it tough, because you do trick yourself, especially when you're in the throes of addiction and you're not clean, is you're just like, yeah, well, I can fix everything. I can fix everything through gambling. Let me just tell you something. That is not going to happen. Even if you won the lottery, even if you, by some miracle, you won the lottery and you won hundreds of millions of dollars, if you're gambling, you will lose all of that money. And I'm not talking about in 5-10 years, months, weeks or months will be gone, because your mindset is telling you that's your money to go and gamble. You're not, maybe you pay off a few debts here and there, get straight, get a house or something like that, but you're going to end up selling the house because you're going to go back and gamble everything out. It's just a crazy, fucked up way that gamblers' minds work. So that's what I mean. I think that's really what I mean when I say gambling's the worst addiction, because I just mean, you can't outsmart your addiction. You just can't do it. It's like you're walking around the same brain. So it's like playing hide and go seek by yourself, But that gambling brain thinks that they can. They're like, oh, you know what? I'll win a lot of money, and then I'll fix everything, and then it'll be good. And I'll just kick back in a hammock and sip pina coladas. It's like, good luck. Anyways, I support you. I hope everybody is getting better. And if you're not getting better, there's no better time to start than right now. Make that call to whoever you need to make that call to. Go to that meeting. Start doing whatever it is that you need to be doing to get yourself clean and healthy. And I will be back for another episode. And, let me know how you feel. If these suck, let me know. I can take it. Someone's going to say they suck anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't really care. But constructive criticism is always preferred. Okay, I still haven't figured out a sign off. Like, keep looking to the stars, Keep your mind clean, a blank slate. Get rid of the negative. Absorb the positive. The no better time. Nope, that's not it. Um, Namaste. No, no, no. What is a good way to end the show?